Hello everybody, this is Mr. Baraboo going to walk you through one of the weekly application questions here in Unit 1. In this one, what we've got here are 3 different jobs that all pay per hour. Now, it's possible that these jobs have a stipend in the beginning, which would mean that they give you a little bit of money up front and then give you money by the hour. We'll have to see. So let's take a look. First, I'm going to write my name on there. There you go. And hopefully you can read my handwriting. So it says, using the information below about the 3 different jobs, rank the jobs in order. Ooh, that's going to be important. We're going to have to rank them in order of which one you would accept, and write an equation for each job as part of your justification. Okay, so we need justification and we need to put them in order. Let's look at job 1. So job 1 looks like if you work 2 hours, you make $49. If you work 6 hours, you get $97. If you work 7 hours, you get 109 hours. Well, I'm thinking about the pattern I'm seeing here. Usually, if you're working at a place, you're going to be paid the same amount per hour. So let's, that sounds a whole lot like a rate to me, so let's find a rate. I'm going to look at these two and notice that they're not consecutive. 2 hours and 6 hours, not next to each other. 6 and 7, though, are, and 7 and 8 are. So if I was going from hour 6 to hour 7, it looks like I went up by $12. Just to make sure that this is linear, because remember, linear means that the rate is the same the whole way through, let's look at 7 to 8. Those are also right next to each other. And that also looks like it goes up by 12. So it looks like our rate is going to be 12. Well, that's going to be useful. We also need, if we're going to write a full equation on this, I feel like a y-intercept might be useful. What would a y-intercept mean in this case? Well, rate is going to be the amount of dollars per hour. What would the starting point mean? Well, that would be my 0th term. I guess that would be them like giving me money before I've even worked any hours. Well, that sounds a whole lot like a stipend. Well, so let's see if there's a y-intercept. All right, so if this is hour 2, I want to go back to hour 0 to find our y-intercept, because remember, that's our 0th term. So if our rate is 12, and I go back to hour 1, that's going to subtract off 12, which would be $37. And then if I go back one more to go to hour 0, I would subtract off another 12, which would be $25. So it looks like after working 0 hours, they give me $25. And I'm going to call that a stipend. Just means some money that's upfront that's not based on amount of hours. So if I were to write this out as an equation, which it does want us to do, I would say y equals my rate, 12, times x. I'm going to have x be the number of hours I worked, plus that stipend. Cool. All right, so we've got an equation. We've got a model for a pattern we've recognized. Let's look at job 2. Job 2 says we have a signing bonus of $60 and they will pay us $7 per hour. Okay, so that sounds like that word per right there makes me feel like it's a rate. So the rate is going to be $7 per hour. You can recognize that right away. What's a signing bonus? Well, a signing bonus is the amount of money they give you at the beginning of a job if when you sign the contract. So basically, it's like it's a stipend. It's that upfront money. So this is upfront money. That's money after 0 hours. So that's going to be our y-intercept again. That's our 0th term. So we're going to say $60. All right, and so the equation for this would look something like this. Y equals 7x, the rate times x, where x is the number of hours, plus our starting point. So we're seeing some differences between these equations. Let's take a look at this last one. So one thing I'm going to notice right away about this graph is that we've got a y-intercept. Y-intercepts are really useful. We've used y-intercepts in the last 2 questions. So let's use the y-intercept here. It looks like the y-intercept here is, well, what number is it at? It looks like it's up 1, 2, 3, but it doesn't look like these are going up by ones. I don't think that's actually at 3, because if I go up 5, I'm actually at 50, and if I go up 10, I'm at 100. So I think every one of these is going up by 10. So I think this would be $10, $20, $30. So our y-intercept would be $30. Let's write that out. Y-intercept is $30. Looks like we get a nice stipend in the beginning. Rate. What is rate in a graph? Well, rate is our slope, right? And for slope, we find rise over run, or the change in y divided by the change in x. In this case, it would be the change in pay divided by the number of hours. So we need to find 2 points to be able to do this rise over run. Now I'm going to be careful here. I noticed going up here that they were not going up by 1. I'm going to notice down here they're also not going up by 1. Each one of these is a half. So this would be 1, and this would be 3, and this would be 5. So I'm going to keep that in mind. If I'm going to find a point so that I don't have to estimate it all, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I find one that lines up with my axis so that I don't have to use decimals. And I'm going to notice that if I go at 1, that one would, well, maybe not be a decimal, but not be a number that's lining up perfectly. But if I go over by 2, we do line up here at 60. So it looks like this point is at 2 hours, you get $60. Okay. So our rise, going from 30 to 60, our rise would be going up by 30. So rise is 30. And our run, we're going over by how many hours? Well, 0 hour to 2 hours. So that's a run of 2 hours. I'm also going to notice that this is a positive slope, which means we're gaining money, which I should hope so. So we end up with a slope of 30 over 2, which is 15, which means our rate, when we're translating this into real life words, would be $15 per hour. I kind of want to check to make sure that that's right. If it's $15 per hour, then I should go up another 15 to get for hour 3. So we're at 60. When I'm at hour 3, that should be at 75. Right? Because 60 plus 15 is 75. I'm going to trace that over, and look, it sure does look like it's 75, or at least it's right in between 150, which would be 75. Okay, so that looks like it's right. Let's write the equation for this. Y equals our rate times x, which is the number of hours, plus our stipend of 30. All right, so let's compare. We started off having to write an equation for each of these. We did that, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put a little box around those just so they're a little more visible. You certainly don't have to, but that's how I like to do these. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten a question wrong when I was in high school just because the teacher couldn't find where my answer was. I want to write a justification, and now I need to rank these in order. So what do we actually look for in a job? Well, if I'm going to just sign up for it and then quit immediately after, then we'd want a good signing bonus, right? Job 2 has a really good signing bonus, but Job 2 doesn't pay very much per hour. So I'm planning on working there in the long run. Job 2 wouldn't be very worth it. Job 3 would be the most worth it. So if we're looking for the long run, we would want a higher rate. If we're looking for the short term, we would want a higher y-intercept. I think we want to assume we're going to work there for a long time. You shouldn't take a job that you're not planning on working for at least a little bit. So I'm thinking rate is what we want to focus on. Job 3 has the highest rate, so I'm going to rank that number 1. Job 1 has the second highest rate, so I'm going to rank that number 2. And Job 2 has the third highest rate, or the lowest rate. So I'm going to give that number 3. So I'm going to, in my justification, I'm going to actually answer this question. I'm going to say, I would, forgive my handwriting, rank Job 3 the best job 1 the second best, and job 2 the worst, because the rate is the amount I would make per hour and job 3 has the highest rate. It might actually be better to say largest here. Let's be mathematically precise, because we're not actually talking about height of something. We're talking about how big something is. It's the largest rate. All right. So we've got our explanation. We're thorough. We explain why. We also have our equations in there to help our work be more clear. And I've got my rankings over here just in case. So our real answer are these 3, and then this answer down here. The rest is our work, but still useful to do. So be sure to ask your teacher if you have any questions about this weekly application question, and hopefully it is useful to you as you work on other weekly application questions.